Welcome to Tea Time with Karen. Today we're going to talk about salmon, and I'll mention some other fish. So eating fish is really good for you. It's good to get omega-3s from fish, and I try to eat fish at least once a week, but I'm really careful about the sources I get the fish from. And it's really important for people to understand there are different options, because there's farm fish, there's wild fish. So there's good and bad of both, and I prefer my fish to be wild, and I look for companies that are conscious of where they're getting the fish from, and also that could be doing some testing to see if there's high levels of mercury and pollutants in the fish. The reason I don't like farm fish is because most of them are fed with pellets that contain PCBs, plastics. The only farm fish that doesn't get plastic in their diet is tilapia. They're vegetarian and they don't do well on the plastic. The issue with tilapia, though, is a lot of the farm tilapia comes out of China, and China is very polluted. So that becomes an issue with where the source of the farm fish is. The other thing too is that they use colored dyes to make the fish look more like it would when coming out of the wild, and I don't feel that that's something I want in my diet. But obviously it's up to you and to have the right information when you're deciding. So I said I would focus on salmon because salmon is a really good source of omega-3. So it's hard to know, unless, like, some places will say farm, not farm, but it is hard to know whether or not you're really getting a farm salmon or not. And there's different cues that you can use to know when you're going shopping whether or not it's farm. So one of them is, if it says Atlantic on it, then it's always farm. So that's one. If there's no subspecies, then it's farmed. And Norwegian, if it's Norwegian, it's usually farmed. The salmon that's not farmed would be a king, which is a chinook, a red, which is a sockeye, and a silver, which is a coho. So those are the salmons that you could look for that came from the wild. If you see those names, if it doesn't say wild on it. The EPA recommends no more than one meal of farm salmon in a month. So that's comes from our Environmental Protection Agency. So that's something to think about too when you're getting farm. Like I said, there's good and bad of both, because obviously the oceans are polluted. So we do, even with a conscious company, there is going to be some pollution that does get in. Salmon can get more contaminated than other fish because they go from cold, I think it's cold to hot, or vice versa for breeding, but they're in two different types of water, so they can get more bacteria because of that. And the other place to look for information is Seafood Watch. Seafood Watch has information, and they do studies on the best fish and also pollution, farm, good ways to rate companies that are do good farm fishing. So they're a good organization to look at to get more information, and they also have an app you can download to help you. And I know we're talking salmon, but just to know that swordfish is one of the highest fishes when it comes to mercury. So if you want to avoid mercury, then avoid eating swordfish. So that's it for Tea Time with Karen for tonight. And I do have a request for you. I'm keep doing this, but it would be nice if I hear from my audience what you want to hear about. I can talk about tons of things, but it would be really helpful if I could get an idea of what you as an audience would like to hear about and what would be helpful for you to know, because I can make up anything, but if it's not helpful for you, then that's not a good thing. So if in the comments part, put some questions of things you want me to address, and then we can, I can start addressing your needs versus, what I think you might be interested in. Anyway, again, have fish a couple of times a week would be good. At least once a week would be really good. Get the omega-3s, and really pay attention to the sourcing. So that's it for tonight. Have a great evening. And bye from Tea Time with Karen.